Okay. It's probably gonna be a hard review. Hey guys, it's Slippery Jack, and welcome back to another video. I'm doing another album review, and I had some trouble with my camera today. Yeah, I'm doing another album review. I'm doing a review of the newest album by the Arctic Monkeys, Tranquility, Base, Hotel, and Casino. So the Arctic Monkeys. I know I was doing reviews on more of a lot of electronic music before this, but I decided I should do something that you probably know more. And also, you can see I'm in a different room. So, yeah, I wanted to be in a more comfortable room. And, yeah, the lighting's not all that great. Hold on, let me turn on my lights. Anyway, well, I hope these lights will help. Ugh. Okay, you don't know who the Arctic Monkeys are. They are an English rock band, however they are based in Los Angeles, California. And they are what restored my faith in modern music. If you are younger, I'm sure you're probably listening to a lot of the mainstream stuff that is on the radio, and I don't like that. I personally don't like that music. It's just, no, I don't get it. I think it's awful. Arctic Monkeys, however, they were doing something much cooler, something more melodic, something more creative, and they sounded like they were out of the 90s. And I have always enjoyed British music in the 90s, and Arctic Monkeys just carried that over to the 2000s, making it their own thing. And they don't sound like any other band. They're very unique. They started out like with punk rock in their first two albums, Whatever People Say I'm Not, That's What I'm Not, and Favorite Worst Nightmare. Then they started experimenting with Humbug and Suck It and See. Then they came out with like their newer sound, which was AM, which is their most accessible album to date and their most poppy. But yeah, I got a lot of mixed reviews. I personally enjoy it from front to back, and it's one of my favorite releases by them. When I found out that they had released a new album, I thought, oh, I guess it's just going to be another AM since, well, I suggest they're done experimenting. I was wrong. This album is not AM. If you are coming into Arctic Monkeys for the first time, do not start with this album. I don't recommend it. If you like glam rock or space lounge music, or just if you're looking for something with a lot of David Bowie influence, this is probably going to be your album. But me being an Arctic Monkeys fan, and I do personally really enjoy a lot of David Bowie stuff, but this I didn't see it coming. I heard that before I knew anything about the album, I hadn't gotten into it yet because I didn't know what to expect. But then I looked on Wikipedia and it said that what they were doing. I was like, Arctic Monkeys are really doing this? I don't see it. How can they pull this off? It said like space rock or art rock or something like that. And I couldn't see them doing that because Arctic Monkeys rarely use any keyboards. I remember they did it like with Riot Van, and then from Whatever People Say, That's What I'm Not, and also 505. I believe they used it a few times in Humbug, and I believe a few times in Second and C. I haven't really given those two albums very many listens. I probably should, being an Arctic Monkeys fan. They then there was AM, which had much more keyboards than their previous efforts, which had there were some keyboards in Fireside and Mad Sounds, and yeah, it was kind of strange seeing them do that. And AM was my first experience with Arctic Monkeys, so I thought that's what they're kind of going to sound like, but I was wrong. But I got into their other albums rather quickly. But this album, on the other hand, has keyboards all over the place. And there isn't a single song that doesn't have a little bit of keyboard. At least a little bit of keyboard. So, sorry about that. So Arctic Monkeys they seem to be doing I wouldn't consider it experimenting, because this album apparently was very well thought out. They didn't just throw this thing together. They made sure that every single song fits together with the previous track. They keep the atmosphere going, and it works out brilliantly. And the album has a an atmosphere that lingers throughout the whole album. More of this is probably their chillest album they've ever done. I can just like sit back, relax to it, and I could even fall asleep to it if I listened to it before I went to bed. But it's still Arctic Monkeys, and you can still expect plenty of guitars. And yeah, that's exactly what you're gonna get with it. I expected it to have guitars, and I got guitars. So there's I haven't given this album like probably enough listens to really review it, but I know I've listened to each of the songs individually several times. Star Treatment is a very good track. I remember when I first turned this album on, and I loved it immediately. It just had a very, very chill, comforting feel, and I love the keyboards and the bass. And yeah, very nice track. Then it keeps it going with 1 Point Perspective. And I remember when I first was trying to listen to this thing all the way through, I was stopped before I could even finish 1 Point Perspective, because it was time for me to eat. And I never got to hear American Sports, which is a shame, because American Sports. Now, this track is it? Yeah, American Sports is the shortest song on the album, but that seems to do nothing to it. This is a very big part of the album. Do not skip over this song. I think that this is everything in this song comes together perfectly. Of course, it's not a perfect song, but this is one of the best songs on the album for me. It's just Alex Turner's vocals are great. The lyrics are really complex, and it's pretty deep. The lyrics on this album are pretty deep. But anyway, next song, Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino. This is another awesome track. Very chill. I never could see Arctic Monkeys doing this when I first heard AM. It has a synthesizer bass. I never once thought Arctic Monkeys would be using a synthesizer bass. Like, what are you doing, Arctic Monkeys? What? It's weird. But it's a good weird. This is an awesome track. It fits perfectly with the album, and I can't imagine the album without it. Golden Trunks is another awesome track with a really cool sounding fuzz guitar, and it's very memorable. When I first heard it, I didn't know that it was from this album, and I never would have guessed, despite it having the piano which is only found on here. 4 out of 5 is the catchiest song on the album by far. Just one listen to this and it sticks with me like for several days, and I sometimes find myself singing it without myself noticing, and it's another great track. It's definitely sounds like something that Arctic Monkeys would do, and yeah, another awesome track. The world's first ever monster truck front flip. This is a um this is another pretty good track. Kind of took a few lessons for me to get into it, but once I got into it, I loved it. I love the synthesizer organ that goes through it, and yeah, it's another pretty catchy one. Science Fiction is a very strange song with some industrial elements. One of it's probably the darkest song on the album. It's kind of with some dystopian lyrics. And by the way, this album is kind of dystopian with the when it comes to like the when you put it all together. I mean, it's not like super dystopian, but yeah, the concept is kind of dystopian. I'll get to that in a second. She looks like fun. Not much to say really about this one. Just a like in the title, it's a just a fun rock song. Uh, I couldn't imagine Arctic Monkeys doing this one, but it does sound does have their sound in it. Uh, I don't know how to pronounce this one. Don't get on me. Batphone or Batphony. I'm not sure, but this track just doesn't really do much for me. I know a lot of Arctic Monkeys fans really like this one. Just kind of a chill, bluesy kind of track with the same kind of feel, and yeah, if it's on here, I never skip over it, but it just doesn't really do much for me. Then the Ultracheese is a this is a very underrated track, one that doesn't really get much attention on the album. But I really like this track because it sound probably for me, I think it sounds more like Arctic Monkeys than any track on this album. If you were to play this for me, or if I played this for you and I didn't tell you what it was, you might think it was Arctic Monkeys if you know their sound. But yeah, it's a kind of another very chill kind of it's got kind of a cheesy feel, and yeah, awesome track overall. So Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino is a very solid album, and I really like how Arctic Monkeys are taking a step out of like what they usually do, and they're trying something new. And I've heard a lot of fans even say this is their new favorite Arctic Monkeys album, and I can see it becoming a lot of people's favorites. My father, who doesn't even like Arctic Monkeys, said that he really likes this one. In fact, he probably likes it even more than I do. But I still love this album. It's all these different types of music. Their most diverse project they've ever done, and all these genres are executed in only a way that Arctic Monkeys would have done it. The lyrics are the best that Alex Turner has ever done. And that was the one problem that I really had with AM is the lyrics. The lyrics on there were not complex at all. All it was just about love and simple things. When I had seen Alex Turner write some amazing lyrics before that. But this restores my faith in his songwriting. I knew that Alex Turner was capable of better lyrics, and this proves it. And for the concept, this in fact is a concept album if you didn't know. And it's about got like a repeating theme of luxury and the desire to build a Tranquility base hotel and casino and or create the Tranquility base hotel and casino and get to it. So yeah, I couldn't see Arctic Monkeys doing a concept album, but they just did. I don't believe that this will be the sound that they stick with, and I'm very curious to see what they do on their next album. So, overall, Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino is a great album, and you should definitely go check it out especially if you like Arctic Monkeys. Like I said earlier, don't start with this one. Overall, I'm going with a 92 out of 100. I decided that my ratings were a bit too high and I was making it too easy for albums to get a 100. But, yeah, 92 is a great rating. And, yeah. I'll see you in the next video. And make sure you like and subscribe. Bye.